Tomorrow, President Obama is scheduled to give a major speech on national security. And an unnamed White House official told the Washington Post this will include, quote, the legal framework under which we take action against terrorist threats. Rather a broad umbrella, and that's a thought. How do we keep counterterrorism efforts legal? We don't exactly know what the president's going to say about that, but we sure know what we want to hear. How do you keep Guantanamo Bay legal, and drones, and domestic spying, and do the American people even care? Let's bring in tonight's panel, and I could not be more excited about this lineup. Democratic strategist Basil Smikle, president and founder of Basil Smikle Associates. Our Republican strategist, I've been trying to get this guy on this show for 6 months, Tom Doherty, a partner at Mercury, which is a bipartisan national public affairs firm and my BFF. And coming back for more is Rick Unger, contributor to Forbes.com. Gentlemen, welcome to you all. Let's start with Gitmo. The president's always made noise about closing it. He ran on closing it in 2008 and was elected. Here we are. It's the second term. 166 detainees, more than 500 sent home under President Bush. More than half of the men still in jail there have been cleared for release. They're supposed to be let go. They're still there. Inmates have been on a hunger strike for more than 3 months. Nothing changes. They are being force-fed with tubes through their nose into their stomach to make them get protein. Some consider this torture. We're paying for it. Tommy, let me start with you. What needs to happen here?
The president needs to show leadership. You cited the accurate facts. I mean, to house an inmate at Guantanamo costs you almost $1 million a year. It's an outrageous amount of money. They want to spend another $450 million to update the place. As you said, 85 of the prisoners there have already been cleared to go home. Send them home. Get them out of our country.
Not so simple.
Okay, not so simple, but leadership says it's been 4 years. You got 80 or so prisoners there. Find a place to put them.
Do you take any issue at all, Tom? Do you take any issue at all with the Republican Congress that won't let him take leadership?
Of course I do. But
That's just problem number one.
of course, it's a political problem. I get that. There's no question, because in the budget they did in March.
What can he do? How does he get behind the? How does he get beyond the Republicans?
Because you know what? You need to reach out to people like myself, because when I looked at the facts of this, I said, we're wasting money here.
I think you're right.
But if the president only talks about it in a political year, it never gets done.
But Congress says you can't do it. So what's going to happen is the president's going to show the leadership that you want him to show, and then Congress is going to rake him over the coals for the next couple of years. For the next couple of years, and impeach him on this very issue by skirting the law.
They're
talking about impeaching him now.
I just hear the I word?
Rick, go ahead.
There's actually one other problem that unfortunately you have to throw into this. A lot of the countries where these guys need to be sent to won't take them.
Exactly.
Therefore, our choices are either negotiate deals of big payoffs to get them to take them back, or you got to release them here, and I don't think that's going to go over so well.
We're not releasing them here.
Well, you can't release them here because they're called terrorists, even though half of these guys are a bunch of poor schmoes who got turned in for ransom.
But the guys who are poor schmoes, put them on a plane, drop them off at their doorstep.
But I think you're absolutely right. The political problem that the president has is that what happens when you release some of these people? Clearly, a lot of these folks are not terrorists. Right. But suppose one is. Suppose two are. Then you're left with, even though Congress said you shouldn't have released them, the president does, and then
that's
all of a sudden
political courage. John, isn't it funny the Democrats are fighting against closing and the Republicans for closing?
No, in fairness, as we mentioned, Basil, President Bush released over 500, and it was a very tiny amount of people who were later found in the battlefield fighting.
9.8%.
I think it was smaller than that.
I think it was 9.8%, but
I'll defer to you. You got a number.
He actually has a number. I'm going to give it to him.
I'll give him the number. It was convincing enough. Yeah,
I think it was 9.7, but I won't quibble.
So we have no idea how this is going to get solved then. The Republicans won't let it get solved. There's nowhere for these guys to go.
No one wants to take the political risk. No one wants to take the political risk.
There's no questions of political risk, and there's no question that if one of these guys went out and blew something up, they're going to lay it right at his doorstep. But, you know, being president's tough. But unless you go out there and make the argument to the Republicans across the country and say, listen, you're the guys who worry about spending money. We're spending a fortune on you.
But then they get Tea Party challengers in the primaries because they were soft on terror. Let's talk about drones.
I want to know who's listening to
I got to move on the drones, Basil. We're almost out of time here. We're getting all eaten up. This president, as you all know, has killed a whole lot of people with these things. And he's killed a lot of people that aren't terrorists, but we call them terrorists because we killed them. And today, General Eric Holder said drones have killed 4 Americans around the world, including a 16-year-old. We deliberately targeted Anwar al-Awlaki, and the other 3 were killed collaterally in a couple of strikes, particularly with that news. What does the president need to say about drones tomorrow, Basil?
I don't think he's going to say much except that he has this power and he's going to keep this power.
No, he
doesn't.
He doesn't have it.
Go ahead.
Well, he may not have it.
He
may not have it, but I think he wants to keep it.
I think he does too.
He has got a serious legal issue here. Both this administration and the last administration still rely on the 2001 resolution of Congress after 9/11. Here's the problem. That resolution gives the president the power to do this, to attack those people and those organizations involved in 9/11. So what did they do? Because a lot of the organizations today aren't Al-Qaeda, they made up a term. Associated forces.
Yes.
Nowhere in that 2001 resolution will you find the word
like collateral
associated
damage.
forces.
Another BS term.
And that's why tomorrow what he needs is full transparency, so the American people know what the program is. If not, we're going to run into cases where we find out today that we killed Americans, which is funny that he's killed 4 Americans and Bush waterboarded less than that in the amount of foreigners he did. I mean, we talked about that forever. He's killed 4 Americans.
Well, let me
know that.
I
just think that the American people want to know what is the program, who are we drawing.
That's fine, but he's not going to roll back on that power now that they have.
I don't think he should. I'm for droning.
Especially,
Tom, let me ask you a question.
Drone away.
Would your Republican friend, are your Republican friends upset about 4 Americans being killed, even if they were Muslims engaged in terror activities or the child of one?
You know what? I think that I'm a Republican and I'm not very shaken up by it. You know, I think that, listen, you're in places where you shouldn't be. You're associated with people that are bad, people that are looking to kill Americans.
16-year-old boy. 16-year-old boy.
A little more to it, too. A little more to what the AG said today.
I don't like a 16-year-old getting killed. I certainly don't. But that 16-year-old kid, I'd like to know what the hell he was doing there, and you know what? His father should have protected his son a little bit better.
Only one of those 4 was actually a target. The other 3
were not.
Exactly right.
Exactly right.
And again, would you agree, Basil, that drones make Americans less safe in that they make us less popular, they create new America haters, and when we call anyone who's killed, who's over the age of 18, a militant, whether they were or not, it makes us the bad guy?
I agree with absolutely all of that, but now that the president has this power, how is he going to roll that back?
He's not.
He's not.
He's not.
But he's not going to talk about it a whole lot
But he's not.
Nor should he.
And Tom, before we go, does it bother you at all that we can now call anyone, we can kill anyone if we say they're an imminent threat, because imminent means nothing?
Listen, I believe that we are under an imminent threat every single day in this country right now. There are people who want to kill us. I mean, we have suicide, bombers up in Boston, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, this will happen. I mean, we have to stay on the aggressive and go after these people. It's unfortunate,
and there's imminent.
Right, and in fairness, those guys in Boston were suicide bombers. They did a bad job.
Let me ask you a question. Are they in Guantanamo? Is that one guy in Guantanamo?
No, he's not. He's in jail.
Isn't that amazing that he's not in Guantanamo?
Well,
which is okay with me.
He was not captured on a battlefield.
I'm making my point.
We're going to take a break, and then we will have a much lighter topic.